All right, welcome in. One of my favorite people, Eric Mangini, the former Jets coach, is stopping by today. So I said the NFL tends to front-load schedules knowing that TV ratings in September, because the weather's great in America, people are outside doing things on the weekend. They want to get them back to TVs, so they front-load the schedule. And then people naturally, organically, in November, December, January, when the weather stinks, they come back in and the ratings go up. So they try to kind of generate some interesting stories. But I did think, Aaron Rodgers, New York, Aaron, polarizing. I looked at that schedule like, God, can you make it harder? It's Josh Allen, short week against Dak, Belichick, Mahomes, Sean Payton in Denver in the altitude, back home. And I thought, Eric, I'm not saying schedules make a bad team good. That ain't great. That's tough, is it not?
Well, it is tough because, look, arguably the two worst teams are New England and Denver, but they haven't beaten New England in 7 years, and Denver with Sean Payton, who knows what that's going to be like. So it's rough, but here's where it's great. 5 out of those 8 games are at home, and then one of their away games is against the Giants, and it comes after their bye week. So as hard as that is, they lucked out with the fact that it's essentially 6 out of their first 8 games are all home games. Now, if you look at that versus what the Giants got dealt with,
oh, good Lord,
this looks like an absolute gift.
Yeah, the Giants. You might as well just get on a plane now. I mean, they're going to be circling America.
Colin, how about the fact they have 3 games in 11 days, and 2 of them are on the West Coast? They've got a Monday night game, and then they go to Arizona. Then they've got a Thursday night following that, and it's an unprecedented amount of away games to start the season. It's brutal. It's like they made the schedulers angry in New York.
They made the playoffs and were so boring the NFL was ticked off.
They're like that. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen again.
We don't want Daniel Jones in the playoffs. So I did say this, though. You got to take the train, and we all do this. We've done well in our lives. We don't want to baby our kids, but we want them to have a better life than us. And I look at Jordan Love, and I think he gets an offensive coach that's been there 3 years. They just went and got 2 good tight ends. He gets an emerging star receiver, better than average O-line. He learned for 3 years in a wonky division. And then I looked at their schedule yesterday, and I'm like, and it's not exactly a gauntlet. Eric, I don't mean to be harsh, but when I look at this, it's a lot of Desmond Ritters, and it's a lot of bad defenses from last year. My takeaway is, Eric, by week 5, when that Raider game is over, I'm going to have a strong opinion on him. I'm not waiting for the season. This is not a guy that's coming fresh out of college. This is not a guy like Joe Burrow that's behind an offensive line that's Swiss cheese. I think we need to make a decision pretty quickly on Jordan Love. That seems fair to me.
It's 100% fair. You've had 3 years to learn behind a future Hall of Fame quarterback. You've been in the system. You know what it's like to be a pro. Here's the thing that bothers me about Jordan Love is the contract extension or revision that he signed. To me, that screams that the team doesn't really have faith in him because they want to minimize their downside and not even guarantee $20 million next year. And then he doesn't have confidence in himself in the fact that he's going to take less money than he could if he bets on himself this year, and then either gets the franchise tag like you saw in New York and hits it really big. That extension, I get how it works for the team, and I get it gives him some security, but it screams insecurity on both his part and on Green Bay's part.
Philadelphia last year had a little bit of a layup. J-Mac, I remember preseason, said they're winning 12, 13 games. Look at that schedule. And I was like, I don't know, Jalen Hurts. And then Jalen Hurts had a great year, but schedule matters. I look at the Eagles' schedule this year. That's a first-place schedule, Eric. What did you make of it?
Yeah, look, I think the schedule's rough, and I think that a lot of people assume that they've got a pretty easy road back to the Super Bowl, but they've got a lot of things to overcome, Colin. They've got to overcome expectations. They've got to overcome what it's like to lose the Super Bowl and then, everybody getting used to dealing with being a successful team.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that 1,000 times. They've got 2 new coordinators. They've got a quarterback that just got a new deal, and we know quarterbacks on new deals tend to push things along. There are some major obstacles outside of this schedule, which is rough, that they have to overcome. This is going to be a lot different season, I think, for the Eagles than what we saw last year.
I mean, look at this, Eric. Keep that on the screen, guys. So week 5 at Stafford. Week 6 at Aaron Rodgers. Week 7, Mike McDaniel, Tua. Divisional games by at Mahomes, Josh Allen, Niners at Dak, Northwest at Seattle. Eric, that's a stretch. You're not going 7-8-0 in that stretch to me.
No, you're not. Now, depending on what happens with the Giants, those last 3 weeks, hopefully the Giants are strong and competitive, and those are good games. But New York, Arizona, New York, who knows how that could go. They may get a little bit of potential relief there.
Yeah.
But that stretch, the Kansas City, Buffalo, San Fran, Dallas, Seattle stretch, thankfully they have the bye out, leading into that. That's a pretty rough 4 games.
Okay, Justin Fields, Chicago. Justin Fields, I'm 60-40. It's going to work. But now, here's my take. They went and got him DJ Moore. So now he's got Claypool, Mooney, and DJ Moore. That's good enough. They got Tanyan, the tight end. Cole Kmet, Tanyan. That's good enough. That's legitimate. Not top of the league. It's not close to the bottom. Now their offensive line, PFF ranked at 14th. They went and got a right tackle in the draft. May have reached, but a good player. I'm kind of done with the excuses. I looked at their early schedule. Again, like Green Bay and Jordan Love, you start looking at that schedule. Yes, they face Mahomes. That's a toughie. But I see a Jordan Love game, a Baker Mayfield game, a Sam Howell game, a Jimmy Garoppolo game. Later, I see a Bryce Young game. I don't know, Eric. That looks like to me I'll give you a loss to Herbert and Mahomes on the road. I'll give you that. And maybe Jared Goff. I think you got to win 9 or 10 games with that schedule.
Yeah, you forgot they added Deontay Foreman from Carolina. I really like him. They added 2 linebackers that should be significant on their defense. They've done a lot this offseason. Here's what I love. I love that he went back to college and got his degree. I love that. And you can do so many things in the offseason, but to choose to go back and finish something like that, to me, screams maturity.
Yeah.
And, we talk about it all the time with the quarterbacks where you look at them and you say, they're not mature. They're not giving the team what you hope to. That to me is a great sign. Now, how much he can progress as a true passer, how much he can stop relying on just his feet to solve problems, because he's got a bunch of guys that can help him solve problems if he'll just let him. Yeah. But I love the maturity aspect of it. And, takes anywhere close to the strides that Jalen Hurts took. Chicago should win a lot of games and make a lot of noise in that division.
How about the Detroit Lions opening against the Chiefs Thursday night at Amazon? What do you make of that?
I didn't love it. I looked at it and I thought every time that we were in New England after we won a Super Bowl, it was a team that we had either played and it was a close, dramatic game, and we opened with them. But now they're open with a team that didn't even make the playoffs. And I was wondering how often that happened. It's happened twice before, but it was both the Dallas Cowboys. So you get it. Okay, the Cowboys are always anointed. So and they've got a great TV audience. And it was a feel-good story. They beat Green Bay at the end and knock Aaron Rodgers. I get all that, but it's a little early to give them to anoint them. I don't know. It just seemed like a lot. It seemed like a lot.
Also,
and I thought it was going to be a totally different opponent for Kansas City.
Sean McVay and Andy Reid in September, no fun. All they do in the offseason is work on plays. Andy Reid off a bye and Andy Reid in September, and this one you get both. Like, that's just not it's the last. Whoever played that game was going to lose. This could be Detroit could be way over their skis on this one. Oh boy.
But yeah, the opening game is always rough. The opening game when the other team's lowering a banner from a Super Bowl.
Oh boy.
I mean, that emotion is running so high that you should be really hard to beat at home if
Yeah.
you're Kansas City or
Fox-
any Super Bowl champ.
Yep. Fox Sports, Eric Mangini. It is great seeing you as always.
Great seeing you, Colin.
All right. Get out here to LA so I can buy you dinner.
All right.